welcome back to the Minute Women podcast. My name is Grace.
And I'm Linnea.
And this week we're doing something different.
We're doing something special.
Spicy even? Not really.
Not really. But if you like it, maybe we'll do it again sometime.
We're probably going to do it again because we think this is going to bring us joy.
Yeah, we're probably going to do this every week. Who are we kidding? This is why we're here. This is why we make a podcast.
Basically, we know that we talk a lot in our episodes. And so we've decided that we are going to both try and cut down on the chitter chatter during our regular Minute Women episodes, but also capitalize on that by having the chit chat be its own episode that we do bi-weekly.
Yeah.
So every other week from now on, we're going to do these episodes, which we are calling Have You Got a Minute?
Have you got a minute?
Where we're just going to talk about whatever's happening with us, but more specifically things that are happening in like Canada or pop culture that we, Canada adjacent things that we like and we want to talk about because, we have interests outside of Heritage Minutes.
We sure do.
Believe it or not, I've watched at least 3 other things in my life.
That's crazy.
Yeah, than Heritage Minutes.
I know, Grace, and I don't believe it. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be new. And it's going to be a lot of us just laughing with each other. And all of you laughing and learning along with us.
Yes. So if you've always hated the chitter chatter, you probably don't want to listen to this episode. But hopefully, the standard episodes that will also be coming out bi-weekly. So those will come out every other week. And in between those, we will have one of these episodes, a Have You Got a Minute episode.
Something will appease to you.
Yeah. We're trying, hopefully you'll enjoy the regular content more because of this. Yeah. Even though you may not be listening to this.
Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll find out.
But what was happening to you? So we've got lots to talk about today.
Yeah, so I'm driving in here from Lunenburg, driving into Halifax, and I knew I was coming in at kind of like rush hour time. So I'd anticipated this. That didn't stress me out really. But as I'm driving in, I'm first I'm trying to, and it's funny because Grace knows this, I text with the lovely Alexa that Grace bought me for my car Little Blue. But today I spoke to Alexa and the message that came out, she read it back to me and it was 150% not the message I was trying to say. I was trying to text Grace because I don't drink coffee. And I was asking Grace if she wanted me to bring her a coffee, but I was trying to explain that hey, do you want a coffee? I know that some people don't want coffee in the afternoons. Coffee is a morning thing. So I just don't know if that's going to affect you in any way is what I said. But what it said was something about how much you weigh. And it was is that going to affect what you weigh? And I was oh, that's not what I'm trying to say. That doesn't really make sense. And it had another random word in there. So then I waited a bit until I was stop. I think I still sent it with voice, but I said it very, very slowly. And then I decided to go to a little coffee shop in Halifax that I won't name because they're a great coffee shop and I don't want to discredit them to anyone.
They're my favorite coffee shop, actually.
Yeah, so I tried to go there for Grace. They close at 2. And I was
this is something that I can agree with. Halifax, I don't know what it is about Halifax in particular. Maybe it's the same in other cities. I just find it very strange that coffee shops close at 5.
Yeah.
Because, it's a place I want to be even if it's not after 5. I found it particularly difficult when I was dating.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you go on a date with someone and you don't know what their comfort level is with bars or alcohol or whatever. So you want a neutral ground. There is one coffee shop that is decent in Halifax that is open past 5.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Everything else closes before 5. This sounds like a very old lady conversation to be having though.
But this place closed at 2. And I was who is your market? Who is your market? Before work people, but then I looked at their hours and they open at 9.
I wanted to make a pun, but it would implicate the coffee shop in question.
Oh, I also thought of a bit for it, but it also implicates the coffee shop in question. I think it's just very weird. Who are you serving?
Yeah, 2 p.m. in particular is very...
It's a weird time.
It's a weird time to try and capture a market.
Will I go to that coffee shop again? Yes. Will I buy their coffee? Yes. I will.
Yes.
So it doesn't affect that, but come on, Halifax.
I mean, also kind of living the dream, though. I mean, if I could work from 9 to 2 every day. I'm sure they work more than that, doing accounting in the books and everything. But that'd be pretty sweet. A common thread that will be throughout Have You Got a Minute episodes is basically Linnea and I are going to bring like one topic that we really want to talk about this week that doesn't really have to do with Heritage Minutes in particular, but it's like Canadiana kind of stuff that we really want to talk about.
Yeah.
And we have no other platform where people will listen to us.
And we love people listening to us. We love it when you listen to us.
My friends are tired of me just talking their ear off about this thing. And so I want to tell everybody else about it.
So like let's like roll with yours first.
Okay.
Because I feel like mine's a little more fun, a little more loose. There might be some singing.
Yours is definitely more fun than mine.
So let's talk about your first. What do you think that people need to have a minute to listen to, Grace?
Okay, the thing I've been obsessing with, and Linnea knows this because I've been talking her ear off about it, is the Thunder Bay podcast.
Yeah.
I would also like to clarify, I am about 2 years late to the game. This podcast is not new. Like, it's an old podcast. Well, not really old, but in podcasts go, it's an old podcast. And it's a documentary series, basically, on the city of Thunder Bay, but specifically, the host, Ryan McMahon, he is investigating the suspicious but unconcluded, really, like, uninvestigated deaths of 9 Indigenous teenagers in the city of Thunder Bay. And they just kind of, like, randomly show up in rivers. What it looks like they're being drowned in rivers, but they're not saying that the deaths are... In most cases, they're not saying that the deaths are suspicious or there's evidence of foul play. It's just like, oh, it was an accident, the kids died. And so it starts with that, but then it just snowballs into this crazy story about the, like, deep-seated corruption in the city of Thunder Bay, how, like, corrupt the police force is and the mayor's office and the lawyers within the city are crazy. They have all these amazing sound bites of these people giving, like, genuine interviews. And it's almost like when a city is really big but no one really pays attention to it. Like, Thunder Bay is a fairly significant city in
It's because
Canada.
It's Ontario. Like, there's, like, Ontario's just big.
Yeah.
And so there's only so much. I mean, like, you've got Ottawa, you've got Toronto, you've got Sault Ste. Marie to shit on, and, like, Scarborough. But, like, after that, like, really, the rest of it's just, like, other places.
Yeah, and it's, like, northern Ontario.
Yeah.
It's pretty remote. Like, it's not particularly culturally relevant to Canada in any way. I mean, they don't even have, like, major sports teams. The only thing I knew Thunder Bay for was it was the end of the Marathon of Hope for Terry Fox.
Yeah, that's the only reason I know.
So it's like, you killed Terry Fox. Congratulations, Thunder Bay. But, like, I went from really not giving a shit about the city of Thunder Bay to being extremely invested in things that are taking place there.
Grace now has a map in her room that takes up a full wall in her room that is Thunder Bay, and she has, like, little things all drawn around it, news clippings. It's quite outrageous.
Yeah, a lot of red yarn. Halifax is, it's selling out.
Yeah,
and I need more because I have many theories.
If you have an in with Michael's, some of those coupons, give Grace a call.
It's just so well done, and it makes me feel like there should be more stuff like that. Yeah, it just makes me, like, super proud to have, like, something like that come out of Canada. And it's a really in-depth, beautifully done, like, investigative series. It's the initial run of it's only 5 episodes or 6 episodes. Then they did, like, a reprisal of it where it's called Return to Thunder Bay, where they basically follow up on all of the stories because they're interviewing real people and asking that about them. And because it's a documentary, you don't necessarily have closure for a lot of those people and their stories. So they go back and, like, try to bring some closure to those people and what had happened to them. And then there was plans for sort of a season 2, but it's a new city, so they're gonna look at a new place, new story. It was gonna be in the Niagara region, but they didn't get enough, like, crowdfunding to fund it. So as of right now, it's just not happening, and it's totally on hold.
The Vegas of the North deserves podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about that, basically, and there's a really big company, I believe from China, if I remember correctly, but they're building this, what they're calling it, like, paradise, and it's just this thing out in the woods in Niagara, but nobody really knows what it is.
That's weird.
So I'm just so curious. And the host is so great. He's such a good host. And like he has a lot of like personal connections to Thunder Bay, and he's Indigenous, and he
wow. Okay.
went to Thunder Bay a lot as a kid and
That's
had family
cool.
in Thunder Bay.
Is Thunder Bay kind of like a Indigenous Canadians like hotspot? Like, would you say there's a large group of Aboriginal or Indigenous Canadians in Thunder Bay?
I don't know what the population ratio is,
Right.
but the reason there are so many teenage Indigenous kids there is because if you live in a northern community that doesn't, a lot of them don't have high schools, so they get flown in to go to high school in Thunder Bay. So in addition to the fact that they're not in their hometowns, they're like also living with foster families for the most part. A lot of them who don't like even like give a shit about the kids sometimes.
Right.
Like the kids have a curfew and stuff, but the foster families are given money to like take in these kids.
Right.
So that's the primary motivator for a lot of them.
For that.
So they're like, as long as the kid doesn't die, that's all they really care about.
Good.
Yeah, and then 9 of them have wound up dead. Like the stat that they gave was like basically every graduated class had like an accidental death. Like it was.
And what about
really
their
crazy.
families? Did it talk to the families of the kids?
Yeah, he interviewed a few of the families of kids who had been murdered. There was a government investigation into the conduct of the investigations of those kids. Like what led them to say that it was not foul play and it was an accident. And basically all of the evidence came back to say that they should have been criminally investigated and they weren't, and then nothing was done about it.
Okay.
So it's like these families that are just like, I know my kid was murdered and nobody's doing anything about it.
No advocacy for them.
Yeah. It's really tragic, but it's also, there's moments that are just so absurdly funny and strange, and the people in the town that he interviews and like big figures in the town are just so bizarre.
Yeah.
It's very much like you have a community that has been isolated in some way.
Yeah.
And so they have like their own policies and stuff. And the way that they say it in the show is like Thunder Bay is immune to shame. Like you cannot shame anyone into doing anything in terms of investigating these deaths. If anything, if you say there is systemic racism in Thunder Bay, they will push back so hard to say that there isn't, but they won't actually do anything about it.
Right.
So yeah, I could like go on about it forever, but it's an amazing podcast. People should go listen to Thunder Bay. It's produced by CANADALAND. If you just put in like Thunder Bay to Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Downloaded. I have not listened to it yet, but I have the first 5 downloaded.
Oh, it's so good.
So I'm ready.
I'm ready to give them all my money so they can make the second series. This is a big hole. I literally listened to the whole thing in a day and a half.
Back.
Take the shirt
and
off
make
my
a new
back.
podcast.
We will do it again, but better and stronger. But what did you want to talk about?
So
I've got a minute. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I know. So I've been thinking about not like a lot, but with the pandemic and with COVID, things that have been lost are, a lot of sports seem to have kind of found their way back, but community theater and theater on a grand scale really hasn't. And so there's been a lack of theater productions coming forward. And I mean, movies even in general, like there hasn't been a lot of movies being made or new TV shows, or we've kind of like lost that kind of an actor's like presence. About that, it kind of makes me think of the play Come From Away, which I think should be a minute, but that's a whole other, that's not for right now. And not the play itself. Maybe the fact that there is a musical
heritage minute.
Maybe the fact that there is a musical could be the heritage minute, or maybe just the actual instance during 9/11, when, for those of you who don't know, Gander, Newfoundland was a flyover area during 9/11, and flights were like rerouted to Gander, and so then a lot of Americans and people from other countries were just kind of trapped in Gander, Newfoundland, and not sure what was going on, like with their family or their lives, or like, I mean, I was only 7 at the time. I wasn't really listening to the news about what specifically was going on in Gander, but there is a really great highly acclaimed play called Come From Away. And so this is a musical theatrical performance about the people who were stranded and saved and really taken care of in Newfoundland, which as Canadians we all know Newfoundland has a really great reputation for being just welcoming and warm and lovely, and I've been there and it's true. But what I think is funny, I haven't seen the play, but I have watched clips. It's like Americans trying to do a Newfoundland accent. It's a lot of fun.
So is it on Broadway?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they have American actors in the Broadway musical.
So it's on Broadway, and then it's also in Toronto.
Okay.
On the stage there. And it's really fun, apparently. I know a couple people who have seen it. It's a really fun musical. My mom and a bunch of her girlfriends were planning to go this year to go to Toronto to see it. They do a girl trip every couple of years, but obviously they won't be. But then it got me to thinking about other Canadian Heritage Minutes or things that aren't minutes, moments in Canadian history that I think should be musicals. And
I love this rabbit hole.
Well, that's what it did. I just went down a rabbit hole and I just kept going, and it got really like deep and dark, and I was like, I was thinking like Emily Carr.
Ooh.
That's a lady. Well, like,
that's a like Les Mis.
I mean, like Le Beau Duck. Like she would have a great musical because it would be all her music, be super cheery and happy.
Yeah.
Be a great story. With Le Beau Duck, you could even probably do like a Mamma Mia type deal where it's like a musical, like with her songs, but not necessarily about her.
With ABBA. It's Le Beau Duck, but none of her songs, just ABBA.
Just ABBA. And then I was thinking, Naismith, there could be a basketball musical. People are really into that, kind of like a High School Musical type deal. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like the High School Musical. Basketball routines.
Someone should just remake that. Just that scene, but like Naismith, and they're all wearing pantaloons.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And then, like, I was even thinking more about like Penfield, and if you have his life, like think of the beautiful, almost operatic musical.
I smell toast.
Yes, exactly. And then it's like the dancers like are in the operating room and like move around all their instruments and trays. It's a whole thing.
It is the most dangerous surgery we've ever performed. Not because it's brain surgery, but because the nurses are dancing.
Yes. And so it really did take me to a point where I was like, I'm gonna make a fucking musical. It's gonna be a Canadian history musical.
What about Jackie Robinson? That would be a good musical.
Oh, yes.
The sports musical crossover can work sometimes.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
They're both really dramatic. I'm trying to think of other ones that would be good. Did you have any off the top of your head?
I mean, obviously the
Mona Parsons.
I was thinking Mona Parsons. I was thinking The Orphans, because I mean, like, who doesn't love a children's choral? Like
small Irish children.
Yeah.
We have to keep our Irish names.
Exactly.
I like my version of them is just it's just the Heritage Minute, but they're singing for some reason. Yes. There's no context. There's no stage production.
100%.
It's just remaking Heritage Minutes, but singing.
But having them sing in quick succession.
Yeah.
Like you move through. Anyway.
Nitro would be a fun one for a musical.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do pyrotechnics on stage.
Yeah.
Like explosions. But that would be a fun element to bring, I think.
100%. There are so many options. Like the possibilities are endless of Canadian Heritage musicals.
Ooh, circling back to mine, they should do an investigative podcast about the maple syrup mafia.
Oh, 100%.
That would be so good. The interviews with a bunch of Quebecois people.
Yeah, Quebecois mobsters.
Like rural Quebecois people.
Closer.
What?
That's my Marlon Brando or The Godfather. That's my Godfather, but French.
French. Oh no.
Oh dear. So I think I'm going to in my spare time investigate it a little further, think about what I think might be a fun musical, and I encourage you all to do the same and let me know what you think would make a good musical. Canadian Heritage moments, or like the minutes, or just like moments in Canadian Heritage.
Yeah, just like Canadian history moments that would be good.
Imagine
heritage minutes, but also musicals.
Imagine the outdoor dance number for the Halifax explosion.
Oh my! It would be like a contemporary ballet.
Yes.
Have you ever seen the ballet scene in Oklahoma?
Yes.
It's that.
Of course,
it's just this psychedelic trip that makes no sense in the rest of the musical.
Mm. See, I was picturing that, or I was picturing like Newsies.
Oh yeah.
when Christian Bale shows that Christian Bale can dance. For those of you who didn't know, go watch a clip from Newsies.
He's a sweet
that boy's
boy.
Got moves. Emily Carr would be more like in Rent when Maureen does her weird cow thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It would just be a weird spoken word. It would be like a weird spoken word that doesn't really make sense with the rest, but that would be Emily Carr's bit. And she'd be holding what was the animal? A monkey?
Yeah, her monkey.
She'd be just holding the monkey the whole time.
we should do heritage minutes as musicals. Just this heritage minute is completely this musical kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Seriously, that's what I think about. Those are the things that keep me up at night. And I'm not saying that in a negative way.
I'm up because I'm excited. Yeah, if anyone out there is like, this heritage minute needs to be a musical, or if there is a heritage minute moment that is a musical, even if it's just like a little community thing that someone did, please let us know.
Oh, I want to see it. I want to see it
so bad. And that was our first Have You Got a Minute?
It was great.
I liked it.
I liked it a lot.
I had fun. You know why? Because I didn't have to write anything for this episode.
And I had
That's
fun.
the real reason.
Because we just got to talk. But I always have fun.
Yeah, I have fun regardless. This one was a little less research. But if you like this episode, please let us know. If you absolutely despise this, we'll consider stop doing it. But,
Probably not.
But we won't know unless you interact with us and tell us.
You gotta tell us. I am the type of person, I know I need you to tell me I did a good job. That's why I have friends like Grace. So if you liked this, just tell me, okay?
We just need a lot of verbal validation right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know if you liked an episode of Have You Got a Minute?
Have you got a minute?
And then we'll record another one. And these ones will be appearing bi-weekly. So every other week you'll have one of these.
So I hope you do like it.
Because
it's coming.
We have some in the, we got a few in the wheelhouse. But, we'd like your reviews. We like your thoughts. We like your opinions.
We like to hear from you.
Please let us know. And where can they find us, Linnea?
Oh, they can find us on our social media channels. So they can find us on Twitter at The Minute Women.
Yep.
And they can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Minute Women Podcast. And they can find our merch at www.tpublic, and then once you just go on to tpublic, you can search Minute Women.
Yeah,
you can do the whole /minute_women_podcast something. I don't even know if that's right, but
the hyperlink is not worth your time.
Yeah, just go to the website and then search our merch. You'll be able to find it. It's a super easy website to navigate. So you can find us there.
Merch store is also in the link to our the bio.
Oh yeah, on Instagram.
Of our Instagram. So if you go to the bio, the link is there, and you can sport some cool merch like me today.
Yeah. Look at her. Everyone we talk about is dead
t-shirt on today.
I love it. Ooh. There's stickers. There's t-shirts. There's coffee cups. There's baby onesies for those future Minute Womeners. Minute Womeners.
Wormers.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Minute Wormer podcast.
I'm your host, Linnea Swimmer.
And I'm Grace Murmur.
Yeah. On that note, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, and we'll chat to you next week.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.